It is 23 hours 30, Universal Time. I'm Jim Tedder in Washington. The United Nations says an Israeli airstrike on a UN base in southern Lebanon has killed 4 UN peacekeepers. In Rome, UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan called on Israel to investigate what he called an apparent targeting of the UN base. A spokesman for the UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon says the airstrike was a direct hit on the base in the town of Khiam. Also, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah says his group will begin firing rockets into Israel past the city of Haifa. Hezbollah rockets on northern Israel Tuesday injured at least 18 people. Fighting continued in southern Lebanon Tuesday. Israeli military officials said they took control of the southern Lebanese town of Bint Jbeil. Foreign ministers from Arab and Western countries are gathering in Rome on Wednesday to discuss the situation in Lebanon. The United States and 14 other countries will be represented. Many are expected to call for an immediate ceasefire in fighting between Israel and the Lebanese group Hezbollah. The Bush administration opposes an immediate ceasefire. Media reports say the European Union's foreign policy chief, Javier Solana, will push for a ceasefire. They also said he will propose an international peacekeeping force for southern Lebanon that would include European troops. Egypt and Saudi Arabia are also calling for an immediate ceasefire. About 400 Lebanese have been killed in recent fighting. More than 600,000 Lebanese have become refugees. President Bush says the United States will increase the number of American troops in Baghdad in an effort to reduce violence there. Mr. Bush said improved conditions near Baghdad make it possible to move military police and other forces to the city from other areas. He said he and Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki discussed the plan at their meeting in Washington on Tuesday. Mr. al-Maliki said reducing religious violence is the main goal of the plan. President Bush described his talks with Mr. al-Maliki as productive. He said that welcoming an elected Iraqi leader to the White House marked a historic moment. In Washington, President Bush has met with the leader of the main rebel group in the Darfur area of Sudan. The White House has not given any details of the meeting with the leader of the rebel Sudan Liberation Army, Mini Minawi. But American officials said the two were expected to discuss how to increase support for and carry out a recent Darfur peace agreement. Mr. Bush and Mr. Minawi also plan to discuss the deployment of United Nations peacekeepers in Darfur. The government of Sudan is strongly opposed to a UN presence in Darfur. Over the past 3 years, about 200,000 people have been killed in Darfur as a result of the fighting there. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. The new Prime Minister of East Timor, José Ramos Horta, has met with Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono in Jakarta. Reports say Mr. Ramos Horta told the Indonesian President that his first duty as Prime Minister is to unite the East Timorese after months of political unrest. The two leaders decided to finalize a border agreement soon and sign it in September. An Indonesian spokesman said his country and East Timor agreed to a meeting with Australia. It will be held in Dili, the capital of East Timor. A date has not been set. Australia leads an international peacekeeping force in East Timor. The United States-led coalition in Afghanistan says more than 600 rebels have been killed in the past 45 days. More than 10,000 coalition and Afghan troops are taking part in an anti-Taliban offensive in southern Afghanistan. The Taliban is most active in that area. Afghan security officials reported on Tuesday that a bomb attack on a major road near Kabul killed 2 civilians and wounded 4 others. And the United States-led coalition said an American soldier was killed on Monday in a battle with militants in eastern Afghanistan. Police in Pakistan say they have arrested 3 Islamic militants suspected of planning the killing of a top Shiite Muslim clergyman. A bomber killed Shiite leader Hassan Turabi and a relative in Karachi earlier this month. Police say they arrested the suspects during a raid on a house in Qaidabad on Tuesday. They said they seized 25 kilograms of explosives, a camera, and computer equipment. Police say they also discovered a recorded video message from the bomber to his family. Election officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo say recent violence and threats of a boycott will not stop national elections on Sunday. Grace Lula is a member of Congo's Independent Electoral Commission. She told VOA that Commission police and troops from the European Union are prepared to protect citizens at voting centers. In Kinshasa, thousands of opposition protesters clashed with riot police on Tuesday. The protesters tore down pictures of Congolese President Joseph Kabila and threw bombs. Police used tear gas to break up the protest. A powerful storm has hit the coast of Fujian province in southeastern China. The winds of the typhoon blew at almost 120 kilometers per hour. Chinese state media says officials have moved more than 400,000 people from low areas. Officials ordered thousands of ships and boats to seek shelter, and 3,000 armed police have been deployed in Fujian to begin rescue work. And now, briefly, here again is the major news of the hour in Special English. The United Nations says 4 UN observers have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on a UN base in southern Lebanon. President Bush says the United States will increase the number of American troops in Baghdad. And in Jakarta, the President of Indonesia has met with the new Prime Minister of East Timor, Jose Ramos Horta. And that's the news in VOA Special English. From Washington, this is Jim Tedder reporting.